Welcome to the Matt Beck Podcast. Woke up this way. He's got a lot of cool stuff he's gonna show you today. The latest news, industry topics, and business tips. For all hairstylists and salon owners, it's time to flip the script. Grab your precision scissors, barber combs, and swivel twist razors. Let's cut a bob, a quick shag, pixie cut with a little bit of flavor. Check out the live classes, product reviews, let's rock on. Don't forget to check out freesaloneducation.com. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day.
What's up, guys?
Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way.
Hey. What's up, guys? Welcome to the show. Super excited to be with you guys today. Seeing you guys in the chat. Everybody's coming through. Let me see if I can reload the chat here. Not you. There it is. So start hitting me on the chat. I can see you guys on Facebook. I can see you on YouTube. I can see you on Twitch. I can see you on Twitter. I can see you everywhere. So make sure that you're posting in that chat. I see you here. Hey, Sue, what's up? Good to see you. Special edition show today. I've got a special guest, Chris Baran, the Global Artistic Director of Redken, is going to be on here live with me. He also sent me a piece of video content that I'm going to play for you guys first, which is a full hair class. So this is going to be all about cutting like a modern mullet, and it's super cool, guys. I watched the video yesterday, so I'm really excited for you guys to see it. You can ask questions. Chris will be jumping in the chat on YouTube for the time being while the video goes. It's about 25-ish minutes long, and then I'll post all your questions up, so keep your chat going, and then Chris will be coming on live with me via Skype, and we're going to have a conversation. We're going to do some Q&A with you guys, so it's a lucky day for all of us in that respect. So those of you guys that are in the U.S., obviously today is Memorial Day, so I do want to take a second to, just think about those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice for the country that we live in the U.S., those of you that live in the U.S., and, this is a day of remembering them. And so, make sure that you take time today to do that. We're going to, obviously, I feel very lucky to be able to have this kind of job and just, enjoy my freedoms every single day. So just appreciate all of that. I see you guys, lots of you popping in. Peggy saying no chat. Definitely chat. You're chatting, Peggy, so you're in. You got it. What's up, Glennis? Good to see you. Snowden, good to see you as well. Happy Monday, Tiffany. And so, guys, I want to get this video rolling because then I can get Chris on as soon as possible. I know that he's in another training right now, so he's going to be jumping on afterwards. But I see him in the chat, actually, right now. So if you guys want to talk to Chris, you want to chat with him while this video is rolling, go over to our YouTube channel or stay on Facebook. You'll see it, and you can ask him questions. He'll be on here live in a little bit. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Here is, and make sure, before I do anything else, make sure that you guys share the show. So right here on the chat, you can share it in any social platform that you want. Just hit that share button. That's all this class costs. It's totally free other than that. So here it is, guys. Here is Chris Baran cutting a modernized mullet. It's super cool, guys. You're going to love the end result here. So here is the video. Oh, that's not it. This is what happens on Monday. This is a Monday thing, for sure. Here he is.
I start right at the very front. Now, in this point, I'm going to go in with, just going to grab a clip here. And when I try to keep the use of my clips down to a minimum when I'm doing this. So I'm just going to take a very small area, and I want to get this into a guide. Now, I will say this, is that not obviously every client that you have is going to want to have a fringe this short. So just use your judgment on which one. If I've got a client that likes really strong hair, that Starbucks girl and the girl that working behind the counter in the makeup, etc., and our fashion girls, or the hairdressers that work with us in the salon, the people that want something stronger, I'm going to go to approximately about a half an inch below the hairline, if I've got somebody that wants it a little bit softer, then I'm going to go back down to about the middle of the forehead. And then if I've got somebody that is, is venturesome, but they don't want to shock their husband out of the house, then what I would do is I'm going to drop it down to the eyebrow. The place that I'm going to do at the top, I'll still keep it at the top of the ear. Okay. So I'm going to take you into here first off. And on this, you'll notice what I'm doing is I'm standing to the side of it as I cut it. Now I'm doing it for two reasons. Number one is so you can see, but even when I do it in real life, I stand to the side. Now here's the reason why, is when I'm cutting it, I'm going to be cutting it with a motion that is cutting on the way out. So I'm going to be point cutting into this. I don't want a strong line, even though it looks strong when it's done. I want a bit more of a chewed kind of feel to the end of the perimeter. So I'm just going to go into that. I start it across. And you see what's happening is I'm cutting on the way out. So I'm going in almost about 3/4 of an inch into the hair, but I'm not going to cut at that. Watch, I'm going to do it in slow motion. You see, I'm actually only cutting on about the last maybe 1/8 of an inch on the hair. So slowly I go in, start the cutting, but then I come out and it's done in a faster motion, but I'm actually only cutting on about the last 1/8 inch of the hair. You see, and it gives you just a little bit more of a chewed kind of feel. This is the point right here where most people, is particularly if your hands start to get a little shaky right now, remember, if a client wants something like this, go for it. I find more hairdressers freak out when it comes to short hair than the clients do. If the clients want it, they want it. Okay, so go back in. Now, where I'm going is right now is if you were leaving longer sides, then you would come down. What I want to aim at is I'm aiming at about a 1/2 an inch just above the back of the ear right there. Actually, just right at the back of the ear. So watch, there's the line. Now, a little trick that I learned in art, and I know Mr. Moody's a much better artist than I am. I was a wannabe. You want to watch where you're going, not necessarily just where you're cutting. So right now, as I'm cutting on this, now watch, I'm going to be going in and I'm cutting back towards the hairline, right? Just like this. See, don't worry about that hair on the underneath. We're going to take that away. Now, the idea behind this, you can use a clipper on this after and take that hair down. I'm just getting this base in there. So I got the line in. I'm going to watch the line to make sure I've got a nice clean line. I don't want any dips in there. And now when I do this, I just take the next piece down and it's done all in its natural falling position. Just make sure that you keep enough density on the underneath so that you can see your guide. Do yourself a favor and don't lift it. We're not going to add any elevation as of yet. Now I want you to just type in your chat bar right now. And I want you to type in your chat bar, what's happening to your heart rate right now? Where are you at with this? You going, wow, what's going to happen? What would my clients say? Because that's generally what happens to people. And when if they're used to doing what I call length and layers, sometimes their heart races because they think about what's the client going to say. But I will tell you this, as we see that's out there is people that want their hair in a cool shape that's nice and short. And the idea is if we don't give it to them, somebody else will. And believe me, when people are going to come back from this, they are going to want something that's new and something that's fresh. Okay, now I'm just going to do a little bit of tidying in here, and I'm going to pass it back over to Mr. Moody.
So it's really interesting. Chris is using this texturizing technique, and you saw him kind of pointing into the fringe area. And you'll often see people pointing in where their scissors are going up, or or you might see people slicing down. And it's really interesting to figure out what's the difference between those two things, because there is a mechanical difference and there's also an aesthetic difference, a look to it as well. If you imagine with your shears, if you imagine you have your shears in your hand, or maybe you have a pair of shears handy and you can pick them up. So if you actually have a pair of shears with you, you can type in the letter S. If you have some imaginary shears with you, you can type in the letter I for imaginary. So either one, it doesn't matter. But if you take my shears here, for instance, and have a look at these, look at the very bottom of the shears here where the two blades meet together. Wherever that makes contact with the hair first, that's going to be the hardest line. That's going to be the strongest effect. So where the scissors actually start to make an incision into the hair, that's where you're going to have a strong and hard effect. So if you have imagine it on paper, it looks a little like this. If I start to point into that fringe the way that Chris is doing here, look at the bottom of the shears as they close, okay, the bottom of the shears as they close. Where is the first point of contact? Is it on the perimeter, or is it here internally in the silhouette? So is it on the perimeter or is it in the silhouette? Where's the first point of contact? If it's perimeter, type P. If it's silhouette, type S. But where's the first point of contact? Imagine this is the silhouette, this is the perimeter across here, look, where Chris is cutting in. When I point cut in, where's the first point of contact? Perimeter or silhouette? Yeah, good job. It's perimeter. It's perimeter. So what tends to happen, look, is perimeter first. That's where the hardest line is. And then the line diffuses away. So you still get a broken line, but the edge of the broken line is harder. And as the line goes inside, it becomes softer. So it goes from hard to soft inside. Now flick your shears the other way around. Now imagine that you're going to slice into the hair this way. So we're slicing in like this. Where's the first point of contact now? Is it the perimeter or is it inside the silhouette? Where's the first point of contact? Good, it's inside the silhouette. It's here, inside the silhouette. So what that means now is that the line that you create starts off hard and becomes soft, like this. So if we point into a perimeter, we still get softness, but the outline of that perimeter is still relatively hard. If we slice into hair or carve into it from the top, switch sides here, the inside is hard and it becomes softer on the outside edge. Does that make sense? So there really is a big difference to whether or not you point into the hair or whether or not you carve out of the hair. It will give you a slightly different look. You'll still get a broken line and a broken feel on both perimeters. But when you carve in, this will be soft and this will be hard. When you point, this will be hard and this will be soft. Does that make sense? If that's good information, type G into the box or give me a thumbs up. You can blow me kisses, love hearts, or you can PayPal over $10 bills. That's good too.
with the kisses on top of the $10 bills, right? All right, now I want to take you into this, and because I always say it's a male's prerogative to change his mind. That's how the saying goes, isn't it? I mean, you can see into here that in this version, we kept it straight across all the way. Hold on, I'm just looking for prove there again. Is if you look on this one, we took the fringe all the way across. On this one, it's just like, I'm sure you have it too. I always say, wait for the surprise, because my intention was to take this all the way across. On this side, as I started in at the bottom, I started right where my point was, because I figured now I have 2 points that I want consistent. So I want this just right above the ear. So I did that. You can see, if we can see the really kind of strong but jagged edge as opposed to a solid one. And then I saw this piece hanging down and I went, wow, that would be really cool if we could just cut from that point down to a point at the nose. So I got just a little bit of a different effect on the fringe. So if you can type, I want you to type in, if you can see how you can vary this any way that you want, type vary, or a V just for variation, because it really now, this is about where you are as a creative person. And I would say to my client, look at, we had tried this, that's what our goal was, but I see something really fun in here. Let's try it first. And if you like it, we'll leave it. If not, then I'm going to take this off. Okay. If you like the idea and you like those tips coming up, just give me an L for like, or a yes or a no. Okay. Just type those in right now. How we doing, Mr. Moody?
We're doing great.
Okay.
Yep. Lots
Now,
of stuff. Lots of L's
here's
coming
what
in.
I want to
Lots
take you
of
into
L's.
here on the sides. Now, I don't know if you can see it right now, but what you could do in here, and you do it with this. Now, even on a mannequin, if you want to practice this, so this is, to me, is an essential tool that you have as well. Now, as you go into the sides of it, now I will tell you this, guys, do not put, when you're doing it on a mannequin, it's wonderful because it takes the hair down right to the skin level, takes all the hair off. But please, when you're doing it, do not push too hard. And the reason why I don't want you to push too hard is the foil that's on here is very delicate. And if you're pushing too hard, it'll crack. And if you crack, then you're using it on a human being, it's obviously gonna leave a mark. Okay, now we do that on this side. And it takes it off really nice and simple. Just remember now, the good part of this is watch, you can put it on this hair anywhere and it won't cut. It only it needs stubble. So you got to take it down with either your scissors, or you have to take it down with your with a clipper first to take it right down. You see now, to me, that makes that line on the top stand out that much more. Same time. So that's, now we've done the fringe. And now let's say, for instance, I have a client, she's got thicker, more dense hair. You've done this already and it's getting much too big on the front. That's where I would go back in. Now, remember again, now you want to be faster at what we do things right now. So this is where, if you're compressing hair down, it's going to make it a lot easier and a lot simpler. So think about this in over direction. What I would like to do is right now, I do not want to diminish much weight right over top of the ears. So remember, there's always three things that we're doing when we're cutting hair. And if you always think about this, whether you're going to the exchange and taking cut and know why, whether using, our Fuel for Design, which is the same cutting techniques and the same principles, we have three things that we do. Everybody type in 3. If you know what they are, you can type them in, you can write them in, but they are this. Number 1 is elevation, how we lift it up and down. Over direction is how we move it side to side. And then the finger angle is where we place volume in the hair, okay? Now, in this one, we're gonna use right now, I'm gonna use the principle of over direction in order to keep weight where I want to. Now, keep in mind, this hair had some short hair layers at the top, but what I do now is this. Now, I have a side part on this. It does not matter whether you have a side part or not. Let me put that the same way. But you can see that all the hair right from this side section, so right from that point, everything is going to be brought forward. And right now, you see it? I would just take, and I can take and cut that line in right like this. Now, for me, I don't want to cut any of that, simply because if I cut that off, then I get rid of that point. But that's what I would be doing right now. Everything on both sides. Elevation would be 45 degrees. You see it? My elevation is 45 degrees, how I'm lifting the hair, as some people would say. And then I'm going to bring that hair straight out. Now, what you can see when I do that, I'm actually going to get a little bit more hair in here. So all you do is just adjust your finger angle based on how much volume you want or how much length you want on that top area. So I'm going to go 1.5 inches above. Now, if you want to know why I'm going 1.5 inches, type in W. W for Y. Okay, I'm seeing some stuff come up there. Now, the reality again is it's density. I want to make sure that I've got a good amount of density right at the back of the ear. You can see the more hair that I take away here, the less dense that it becomes at the top of the ear. That's the reason why. So now I'm going to go from there. And now the point, you might say, well, where is the point? Well, in this case, I've got it about 2 inches above the hairline. The thing that you have to remember here is that what you want to do is make sure that you have the proper amount of density on the bottom. So that point, this point right here, might, if your hair is fine, if you've got a really fine head of hair, like my wife has this incredible head of hair that she can wash it, blow it dry, and it's blasted dry and it's perfectly smooth and straight, but it's fine. If on this point, would this point go on fine hair go up or would it go down? Type U, or U for up, or D for down. What do you think?
Lots of U's coming up, Chris.
Yeah, very good, because what I do there is I want. Sorry if I blasted your ears out on that, Lee. What I want to do is make sure that I've got more hair at the bottom. So on fine hair, I move this up. On really coarse, heavy hair, I could keep it the same or even move it down. So I'm going to divide it in half, right at center back. And then I'm going to pick from 1.5 inches, just make a V. And now, so you can see where we're at here now. I'm going to do a little finagling, so I'm going to get in a top view. Okay, now from the top view, can you see how we've taken everything from the ear, or from that bottom part, and we've over-directed everything right to center back? You see it? So right at the center, center of the nose, center of the back. I've taken everything up from that point. And now, based on the amount of weight that you want on the bottom, now watch, I'm going to come from this high point. Right there is my guide. Right there is the guide that I have for it. And I'm going to slide up to that point. Now watch, here we go. There we go, right to there, and pause right there. I'm going to double check by looking that my finger position is going right down center back. And point cut on that. Now again, cut on the way out, unless you have shares in Johnson & Johnson. Okay, right, one more time, just double check. Going to keep it down just a little bit further. Point can come back the other way if you want more of a point structure in it. But you can see now, Lee, I'm just going to bring this closer to the camera so you can see the airiness that there is on the back of that. Okay. There, now, there. Just get a clean comb. But you see what happens now. You see the difference of how that snugs that hair right into the hairline. Watch the difference on the other side. You see all the weight here? Now that just snugs it right into the hairline. But can you see how the idea is it keeps it flat? Because we've got that just nice line in, and then we've got all the weight at the bottom. The line that we cut into on a diagonal is going to help to make that sit flatter to the head, closer to the head. Now on this side, right now, see from this side, you can't see the guide, but on this side I can. You see it? So when I elevate all that hair up, I want to watch. There's the guide. You see it? As I tip that hair back, if you can see the guide, type in yes or no, Y or N. And you can see that shattered up guide. Can they see it?
Lots of Y's, Chris. Yeah, everyone can see
it. Okay, good.
Everyone can see the guide.
Say, watch. Now, right now, I'm going to keep my eye on it. If you can't see where it is right now, it's right there. That's what I'm looking at. And that's my view from a cutter's position. And remember, cut on the way out or cut on the way in. Which one?
Out or in, everybody.
Yeah, all the way, always out. Otherwise, that's the way that you make sure that you're not cutting yourself. Okay, I'm just going to go back in, double check. And quite frankly, if you look at it now, I've done one section in the front and two in the back. So your internal layers are really done with 4 sections. Now, the next point to this is on the back section, what do you like? You know, so let me see, I want to make sure, there we go. So you can see the bottom. And when I do this, you can do literally whatever sectioning that you want on this. If you want it blunt, you can just cut it across and make it square. I just think it's more, because you've got the layers in here, you see how there's got shorter hair in there already? I'm just gonna go back in, and I'm just gonna point cut it back to a point on the opposite side. I'm just gonna do a guide where it is. That's where about where the majority of it started. Again, 2 hands. How's my shoulder on here, Lee? Is it okay?
It's looking good, Chris. You got, yeah, we can see.
Okay, thank you. Now, and what I'm doing to see this, guys, what you do is it's imagine the line in. See, so you've got to see the line and see that. If you see that black line in the hair, say yes. Now don't look at anything else. I'm going to take the comb away and keep imagining that the comb, that black line is still there. I'm going to take it away, see the same one. The big thing is once you got that in your brain, sort of like let it sort of be like that when you stare at something for a while and look it away and it's still there. There, see, so just cutting that point in rather than trying to imagine where your scissor is going to go next, plant it in your brain so you know exactly where it is. Perimeter in any way you want it. Now, to me is what I love about, question?
A quick question. Would you recommend that our guests stand when you're shaping that back perimeter area?
Well, this is a difference between coaching and opinion here. I'm going to give you my opinion. Is whenever I do a perimeter, personally, I want to be at eye level or as close to eye level as I can. So I would either get the client to stand up or I would have to scrunch down like this. Now, if you can imagine me doing this all day long versus getting the client to stand up for just like 2-3 minutes, which one is better? I'll let you choose. I choose not to kill my back. So I get the client to stand, but here's what I do with them is my client is standing there and I get her to put her hands on the back of the chair to stabilize. You get her to put her feet shoulder width apart. And while you're cutting it, you get her to wiggle her toes. If anybody knows why you get her to wiggle her toes, type in I do. And your answer would be the same as mine. When you see people that will get lightheaded or faint, it's because they lock their knees. If you wiggle your toes while they're standing up, the muscles in your legs increase the blood flow. And the main reason why you get faint is loss of blood flow to your brain. So just get them to wiggle your toes and tell them to do that every so often. And tell them why. You won't feel lightheaded if you do, and problem solved. Because I just got this in my my kit bag the other day, and it is the, I don't know if you want me to come close, Lee, or do you want me to, it is the new dry shampoo. The new dry shampoo. And I have to tell you this, you know what, I went on and as you can well imagine, we have our, I call them my bohemian days, when and my hair gets a little bit of oily, and I had gone a number of days, let's just say past 2, and it was quite oily, and I literally went, I wonder what this is going to be like, and sprayed my hair with this, and it was phenomenal. Not only did it take the oil out, but I didn't have any residue feeling or gumness or stickiness in the hair. And so I've been playing with this, just putting this in when the hair is clean and when it is just finished, and I just love the texture that this gives into the hair. And I found that I can be fairly aggressive with the product, and I don't get overspray. It's not like it's like if you put some product in and then all of a sudden there's too much of something. This is always just seems to be just right in the texture that I do. And I love how it gives that chewy appearance to what you have, because to me that's where right now, a lot of what we're doing has got some extra textures on the inside. So even though she comes in with her hair blow dried, and if she doesn't blow dry or flat iron like you would, remember at the end of it, you're going to get a textured feel with it anyway. So the products that I would use on that is I would use on like a dry shampoo, and then you can do that. That's the invisible dry shampoo, or my other one is Wax Blast. The thing is it's going to be a tiny bit, as a wax would do. The wax will give you just a little bit more of a sheen on it than you will with the dry shampoo, and I love that. So the combination between the two is awesome. Okay, so those are the others. Now here's the other one that I love, and that is the doing the powder grip. Now, I will tell you this has been probably one of my favorite products, not only for when I want to add just some texture in this, because this is really dry and helps to really hold in the shape. I'll also take and add this into a wet product to dry it out, just a touch. And it's amazing for when you want to dry hair. If you're doing long hair and you're dressing long hair and you want it to be have a little bit of schmutz to it, a little bit of gription, and I'll put that in so it helps hold better when I'm backcombing, etc.
All right, guys. So, thank you so much to Chris Baran for giving us that footage and that live class that he put out to his audience. He's on the chat. I'm actually going to try to give him a call right now on Skype. I'm hoping that it works. You know, this is obviously on the fly here. Let me see if he answers. There we go. Let's see. Chris, you there? Oh, hang on. I can't hear you yet. Maybe I have you muted. Nope, I don't.
There, I should be there now.
Yep, you're there.
There it is.
How are you? Let me see if I can see how well this will switch over. Oh, check it out. That's the best. All right, cool. So that couldn't have worked any better. Chris, thank you so much for hanging out. That was a 27-minute class that you gave to us to share with the audience. So thank you for that. And thank you for taking your time today with me to hang out and talk hair for a little bit.
Oh, hold on just 1 second.
Yeah.
There's
a delay. Are you here?
Yeah, just hold on just 1 second. I'm just going to jump out of that. There we go. Okay, good. I got you going on here, bud.
Okay, cool. So you can hear me now?
I can hear you. Yes.
Okay, cool. And you can't hear you, right?
Oh, no, I don't hear me now.
Okay, perfect. All right, so thank you so much for hanging out today. We're gonna do a little Q&A session. Thanks for giving us that class, that footage, and letting us really just kind of analyze your work, which is awesome. You know, it was fun to watch the chat, obviously. So we'll talk about that.
I loved it. No, I loved it because, you know, I find, Matt, that to me the thing is always about taste, you know, and to me I always think that it's as a hairdresser, the thing that I learned really early in my career was at the very beginning I was very much a long hair person. I like length, I like layers, and that's where I found that I stood because that was my personal style. And what I found is the more that I opened up, the more clientele that I grabbed. And the more that I did the work that I didn't think that I liked before, all of a sudden my taste grew, it expanded, and my clientele grew. And then I got this wide variety of clients that would come in, and just that's the way that it ended up being booked solid. So, you know, to be clear, I really respect, you know, like even going into it, sending it to you, I went, well, some people are going to hate this,
Yeah.
and some people are going to like it, you know, and that's what it's about, you know, is taste is subjective. I love that one of my idols that they have that are out there is like one is Angelo Seminara, and you know, if you look at some of the work that he did, they do. I can remember, I don't remember which artist said it, but he said, I'm not interested in doing the things that most people find beautiful. I'm interested in taking something that most people will find ugly and turning it into beautiful.
Yeah.
And to me, that's where I think you push the envelope.
That's so cool. I love that. And I want to talk a little bit more about that, but I also want to introduce you a little bit more to the people that are just tuning in. So Chris Baran, you're the global artistic director of Redken. Yep. You have, this online training academy kind of thing, which is so cool. Like I really dove deep into it over the last couple of days because I just wanted to really figure out what you're doing. So I think that's just so neat. And I was talking to Jason Everett, who's a mutual friend of ours, and
Absolutely.
And he was telling me, during the pandemic thing, and you were doing a lot of educator training, and you flipped the switch and kind of went into digital education training, right?
Absolutely. It's and it's really interesting because I'm not sure how many people that are listening in here are educators,
right?
But whether it's from an educational standpoint, what transforming from doing what we call IRL or in real life to digital is really there is not that much difference.
Yeah.
But what stands in the way is people's fear, and how do you move into this? So I want people to think of it not just from an educator standpoint, but how can you use this to educate clients? How can you use teaching to be able to make sure that you boost yourself up as somebody that's seen in the industry that is helping other hairdressers, and that migrates clients towards you?
Yeah.
It's interesting. There was a word that transformed our industry, our educational industry as you see it today. And that was the word shutdown. Because the educational world changed like that.
Yeah.
It just went from business as usual to it. I'm not going to say never being the same again. I'm not for an instance going to say that you won't have when they have, I'm not going to say cure, but when they have vaccine and we can move past this, all the manufacturers have changed the way that they're doing their education now because they realize they have no touch points with any of their customers. Right. And the only way they can do that is with online education. To that point, like our company uses eCam and several other software devices, but that doesn't mean that people can't just pick up, just pick up your phone, get yourself a tripod, and if you want to teach your clients how to blow dry hair, just get in front and do it, record it a few times. You don't have to broadcast, just do it and then send that out to your clients.
Yeah.
It'll absolutely change you as a hairdresser, absolutely change you as somebody that's sought after.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, we talk about that a lot because people don't take advantage of their phones, but also like you were saying, we use eCam, we use Zooms, we use all these different tools to broadcast. But I actually think that using eCam and then into Restream and then streaming onto Facebook, I think it hurts for the initial stream. Like I think you can reach more of your clients if you just pick up a phone and hit stream.
Let me give you an example.
Yeah.
I mean, we did just before I got on with you, we were doing what we call our facilitating like a boss, which is all based on how to teach digitally. And we were on for 90 minutes before because we've been trying to iron out wrinkles of how do you teach through Zoom, incorporate Skype, and still get all of the audio to go out. And I'm sure that might have sounded like a lot of gobbledygook for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But the reality is you've got to iron out some of these technical wrinkles, just like the same time that you taught your client or you stepped on stage to start teaching and you're ironing out wrinkles. The same thing happens, and we're all going to grow. It's a 3-month project that's happened now, where we went from doing, just picking up a phone, doing the occasional Facebook Live, Instagram, etc., and now the industry wants education.
Yep, for sure. And a lot, and it's fun to watch all the companies. Like when this all started, you along with me, like we've been doing this digital thing for a very long time now. Yes. And when this all happened, I was like, it's kind of like your we've been preparing for this for so
Yes,
long.
right.
But then you watch like all these companies are just throwing lives everywhere, and so I think you're in a, it's cool to see how you made that shift, and now you're kind of training that whole thing, which is really neat.
Well, to me, Matt, it's now it's been for me. What's it been? It's easy for me now because we're coming up this next week. It's actually about 5 days is my wife's and my 50th anniversary, and I always have to think about how many years was I in the business before I got married, and I know it was 3, so I know it's 53 years in the business. But what I always tell people to do, look, is, excuse me, how are you evolving? How are you changing it from one thing to the other? I can remember when we started in this industry of education where I would watch people do one thing and they were really good at some things, and that's all they did forever.
Yeah.
And then they just got left by the wayside, and that happens in the salon. People get good at one thing and then their clientele waves and comes and goes away, So to me, it's been, the design guy, the perm guy, even in the 80s, and I still love perming, and I know it's going to come back one day. But the reality is that, is what are you changing yourself as you move along? So for the people that are out there with their, that are in the salon and not necessarily educating and teaching other hairdressers, but how are you using this new tool, these new things that we have to change? Because I had another one of my mentors that was just sent me a message this morning, and he said, we all want to get to the next level, but only a few are going to be able to achieve it. And I know I've sat back when things have happened in the past. I've been the one that said, well, it's going to be this, it's going to go back to the way it was, and I lost time.
Yeah.
And I think that's what, the more that we can get our industry to embrace how you can teach your clients, how we can teach one another. As we all know, like a good friend of yours and mine, Sam V, always talks about, hairdressers helping hairdressers, manufacturers supporting other manufacturers, educators supporting educators. And to me, that's why I talk about the 50 years is that I think we go through those stages where I can tell you when I was in my 20s, the only person I thought about was me.
Right. Yeah.
And I've got to me your 30s and 40s, you think about your family, and then you get to the other side of it, and your kids are grown, they're out of the house, you've helped to train other people. Now my sole purpose is, how do I help other hairdressers? Yeah. How do I help other people? How do I get them become better at hairdressing? Whether you like a particular shape but if I can teach you how to get an end result without having to think about it.
Yeah.
To me, that's what our community has to be, especially right now, more than ever.
That's so funny because so there's a couple things that I loved about that. I think like people staying like just waiting for the normal to come back are going to be left behind, and that's where we have to think about that and make that shift.
There is no new. This is the new norm right now.
Yeah, for sure. So being able to be working towards adapting now, I think one of the strongest things that I've found for myself is that I'm able to screw up really well and then change direction really well and then just keep moving forward. And I think a lot of people out there, like, that's one thing, like, think about that and think about how this is just a pivot, and to go towards a new direction. Think about online a little bit differently. And then the next thing you said, it was like being comfortable. I was listening. So my son plays lacrosse and he's 12 and he's really into it. And they shifted very quickly to online Zoom trainings and all of that stuff. Yeah. And literally while I was leaving the house to come here to do this, he's eating breakfast and watching 2 professional players talk about, what they do and how they became professional, whatever. And over Zoom while they're and they can talk to the kids and everything. And then, one of them said, which was kind of funny because it mimics what you're saying, like, you have to become to where you don't even have to think about that stick in your hand. Then you can understand the game. Right. So I've always thought about that with haircutting too. Like, I've gotten so comfortable, like if I pick up a pair of scissors, that I never had to think about combing and sectioning and all of that stuff. Like, that came natural because I had practiced it so much that I could then think about the haircut and what I really wanted to achieve with it. And I like the point that you were kind of making with that.
Yeah, because it is about, I mean, when people ask me how do I get to where I am, and I want to be real clear that when I say where I am, if I'm at the top of my game.
Yeah.
To me, it's not about a competition. It's about where do you get to and how do you get to the point where you want to be at. And people ask me how I got there, and I say it was real simple. I just failed my way to the top.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
Right.
nobody gets to the top without failing. I mean, to be quite frank, that's what I think really messes up. We got a pretty messed up culture and society when, the only way we learn is by making mistakes, and yet in our society we're ranked higher if we don't make mistakes, and we're ranked lower if we do.
Yeah.
And to me, and that's what kills a lot of people's attitude when they come into trainings, is because they were either shut down by somebody, or somebody talked down to them, or they felt degraded when they were in a class, and so they shut down going in rather than just being open. And that's the only way we learn. If you got kids, they just go up, and if we've all had a child show you a picture and you say, "Oh, that's amazing,"
Right.
and then we say generally after that, "Well, what is it?" And they say, "It's you."
Yeah.
And you say, "Oh, it's beautiful," and we celebrate. Celebrate the mistakes, even though it might not be perfect yet. And yet somehow as adults, and somehow I believe, but understand what I'm going to say is not our teachers in the school system, but the system that we have that makes our teachers do it in a specific way, kind of, to me, that it stifles people's imagination, their creativity, and their willingness to play when it comes to learning.
Yeah, and it goes back to like watching the chat while that haircut class was going on. In my mind, as I'm watching it, I'm kind of like, I'm smiling so big when I'm seeing.
I
that
was
chat,
too,
right? Because
I loved it.
Because in my mind, I'm thinking like, it's just it's a place where you have to go. Like, I've never looked at something in a haircut and said that overall picture is something I don't like, I'm gonna vocalize that or whatever. Like there's things that I like and don't like about everything, but at the same time I always look at like, what can I take from this scenario? Like when I watched it's Chris Moody, right? It was Chris.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Chris, when he popped on the screen, first off, that was great because I was like, wasn't expecting it. And then, he came on and he's got that whiteboard and he's cutting against to demonstrate against a two-dimensional, picture. And I loved like how that broke down exactly what you were doing next to him, and being able to cut that fringe and talking about just going a little bit further into it and how that's not, like all of that stuff I grabbed from that. And I'm like, I'm going to use that in my life, in my job, in my craft. And I didn't really care I know that I'm not going to use that overall haircut very often, but I do know that I can use that fringe technique and I can use that layering technique and that over direction that you did, like all that stuff. Like I look at that and I'm like, awesome. Like, so, and it goes back to exactly what you're saying, is that people are raised from the time they're 5, everything's great. By the time they're 12, now they're doing everything wrong. And this is the right way. And this is the normal way. And this is the way that everything should be done. And it's funny, like, to think about, like, that's why I smile so big. Cause I see that and I'm like, that's the reason I'm on here every day. And I'm on here on Memorial Day when no one's working, no one's doing anything. And you're on here and like, because we have a passion for, helping people get to that point in their, to where they can think about the positive, think about like the things that, can benefit them, and don't think about the things that take what you can from every situation and transfer it into your life. And the things you can't use, get rid of them. And the things you can, you move forward with it. Right.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I've learned in my life, Matt, is that and I'm not going to call anybody haters, because to me, I think it's just subjective. That's what you like or you don't like.
Yeah.
But what I do love is that I've learned very quickly that not everybody is going to like everything you do.
Yeah.
Not every client's going to like you as a designer, because it's just you're the designer. And I think that if people can just take grasp and say, I want to do something, and whether that's like, to me, I push everything as far as I can push it. I'll take everything that I do and I'll say, okay, well, how can I push this as far as I can go?
Yeah.
Because it's easier to dial back. And if you take a look at haute couture in fashion, it's nothing that everybody is going to be able to see. But what you do notice is the difference. Now, if we would have done a mullet that would have been much commercial, that had a longer shaggy sides and then just a little bit of length in the back, for the majority of people, the transition in their eye would be easier.
Yeah.
But the shock value of having something that is super short and super long, all of a sudden it shocks people into what is coming.
Yeah.
Because right now, if you take a look, what is everybody? Well, everybody's doing shags, everybody's doing texture, and just the same as everything was straight and everything was moving to texture and rough and so on. You're going to see things are going to get back. It's going to make a shift back, and I call them the cool kids that bring everybody into the salon. Those are the people that I want to really do that haute couture on, and then pull it back on the regular clients.
For sure. Yeah, that's awesome. So, and another thing that I took from you, which I thought was really great, and I think a lot of people can, when you're live and when you're doing things, this is something I'm trying to get more into. So like when we say, if you guys are new in the chat, or if you're new to the show, type new in the chat. If you have a question, type Q before your question so I can see it easily. You were like all about it. Like, so you're like, type V, type L, type what, and like that gets people interacting, because most people sit in the chat, and it's kind of like if I was in a classroom, I'm a quiet person. On the internet, I'm louder, but in a room full of people, I'm a little more quiet if I'm not the one on stage or whatever. So, so that gets people, like if they're in the chat, I'm usually not somebody that would chat something, but if you tell me what to do, if you give me the go ahead, right, then I interact. So
yeah. Here's the reason why. Well, first of all, there's three main areas in education that you have to think about. Number one is the three E's are enroll, engage, and educate. So people can't be educated if they're not engaged and they're not enrolled in it and they're not doing something with it. We were doing a class this morning on facilitation like a boss, and Chris Moody put it really, really great, as we do in this way. He says that your memory is like a bookshelf, and it's only about this big. And if you can push a book onto there, you push your books onto there, is that there's only so much room in your short-term memory for that to resonate with you and to remember. So if you push one book onto one side, what happens to the book on the end?
Right, falls off.
It falls off. But the reality is in our brains, it's not lined up like that. We have no control of which book is falling off.
Right.
In our short-term memory. So the way that you push it into your long-term memory is by making people do something. That's by typing in, by chatting, hold up their hands, doing whatever. So while some people might think that, oh, this is getting, why are you making me do this? It's nothing more than pushing things into their long-term memory by getting them to write it down or put an E in, etc.
That's cool.
That's the main reason. What makes it different, what makes digital education like live, instead of being like a radio broadcasting where they just talk and tell, this is what makes it truly engaging, because people are interacting with you. They just can't, you don't want everybody talking because it would be like an auditory overload.
Right.
But they can engage by typing in there, and they feel like they're a part of your show. They feel like they're the heroes because they're putting in the answers.
Yeah. All right, so here's what I want you guys to do in the chat, since we're talking about this and we got a few more minutes. I want you guys to type Q and type a question. Let's get as many questions as we can in the chat. Pull yourself together, something that you really think will bring value to you. And the other thing I want to say about Chris is that I actually, so we do have a mutual friend, Jason Everett, and I was in Arizona, and I was, just hanging out, and we were at this event, and he goes, I got this great guy that you should meet, and we just have to take a drive. He's like, I got a rental car. Let's go out. So, I hopped in the car, and we went to your house, and you and your wife, Rita, were so, welcoming, and you took me into your studio where you're at kind of right now doing your, for your live stuff, but then you took me down in the basement, and you showed me all of the Redken Symposium, headpieces that you were working on. It was, phenomenal. So I just want to, again, say thank you for that experience, because it was just it was a really cool moment just to see how you do everything, because you have been doing this for a long time, and like I say, I've been doing hair for 16 years now, and I used to think that 16 years was a long time, but it went by so quick. And I know 53 years is going to go by so quick as well, but it's just cool that that I got to see that and experience that, and I'm sure that show was like, phenomenal.
Oh.
And so let's talk about like what's going on with like all of your stuff right now. So just to kind of catch up over the last, I haven't seen you in a long time. Like what do you have going on? What's Redken's thinking process right now with everything that's happening?
Well, here, Matt, first of all, thank you for that. And it was a pleasure having you at the house, and it was an honor. But, and for what we could share is, you saw about a little crazy how my mind works, where we can make some of the avant-garde pieces, where even from there, I want to make something that's creative, that is, that somebody might not ever wear, but that's my therapy.
Yeah.
That's where I can go down and create. So, but going back to what you're saying was what's going on in the industry right now. And I can speak for Redken, and I know just because of the LPPD, or L'Oreal Professional Products Division, is that a lot of the education has gone away for the year because they're obviously trying to protect people.
Yeah.
But there is live education that's going on, like literally since they used the word shutdown. Our company, which also produces a lot of the events, that we use the same kind of format that you're using right now, is we've went from the classes being all gone to where we have produced probably, and I'm taking a wild stab, at probably about 45 events in the last, I'm going to say in the last 2.5 months.
Yeah.
And we're literally almost every day. Sometimes in some cases we're triple booked doing seminars, and we've had to up our Zoom files that we have to where we can handle up to 10,000 people.
That's
so
awesome.
it really, education has really shifted to this new norm.
Yep.
And it's actually super, super exciting. People can, be in their jammies at home and watch world-class education that's going on. I know that we have a program that's coming up tomorrow that we have going on, and I believe that tomorrow is with Laurie Zabel and Michelle Marshall out of the UK.
Okay.
That's going to be a phenomenal program. We've got that, and on Friday we have they'll be doing more hair cutting. I know some of them people will say, well, I want to join, and other people will say, well, I'm not going to that one.
Yeah.
But it's because we have guest artists that are going on there as well and doing great stuff. But to me, it's just about the world has changed and education has really shifted. And I think you're going to see that it's going to stay on this digital format until everybody feels much more safer in getting into a large room. And then once they've got once they've got vaccines for this virus, you'll start to see it come back. But I think it's changed forever. I believe and I predict that you're going to see a lot of the big major shows that are probably going to try something with doing major events, with doing multiple artists that are all just in different classrooms where you'll be able to go into different classrooms. I mean, Matt, what I've found the most exciting in the last while is we've done a few of them now where we're actually doing hands-on classes for up to 50 and 75 people in one room.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's amazing because it's interesting. It's actually easier coaching when I can see a room full of people all at one time instead of having to walk around and trying to pinpoint what everybody's doing. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think that was something I've been thinking about a lot, is doing those, because I watch these Zoom calls with my son on them, and how there's 15 to 50 kids in their yard doing their repetitions, and somebody's just watching the screen and saying, you could do this different, you could do that different. And like, for me, I'm like, I should definitely start doing hands-on haircutting classes over Zoom.
Definitely.
There's no reason not to, especially.
I'll give you whatever pointers that I have, my friend, because
I appreciate
it's a phenomenal experience.
Very cool. All right. So we do have a question here. This is Tiffany. I'm going to pop up here. And then so Tiffany's question is, thinking about becoming an educator, where do I start? So I thought this was kind of an interesting question for now.
Yeah, Tiffany, well, first of all, congratulations. I think that anybody has that, it's a bit nerve-wracking because, you're trying to say, look, I want to put my work out for people, and people are going to make a judgment call one way or the other, and that's a good thing, because I'm sure you've got an amazing amount of talent you can get out there. Now, right now, if you would have asked me that about 3 months ago, my answer would be totally different than what it is today.
Yeah.
Right now, Tiffany, here's what I would advise you to do. If you understand a bit about Facebook, Facebook Lives, doing a Zoom meeting, doing teaching online, I would just advise you to get on and start doing it. Okay. So let me put this. I'm going to put it into a three-step package here. Right now, I would probably enroll in somebody that's going to help to mentor and teach you. So even just going on to our Facilitating Like a Boss, it's every Monday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Daylight Saving Time. That's on there. That's free. We've also got paid programs that are out there that you can learn with. We have one where we just got finished doing one a while back. If you guys are interested, and Tiffany, if you want information, if you can just get a hold of me at chris@chrisbaran.com, Baran, chris@chrisbaran.com, and I can forward you on to places where you can get. And if you want to step up your game, and we've had people that actually pay for 2-day coaching, 2-day training on how to do it, where it's all participatory stuff. That's another one. But I would just get started. Take a couple of, learn from just the basics, and then just get on and learn to teach. The other thing that would be so that's number one, just start. Number two, get some training. Number three is also get onto some teacher course training. Like we have a program that we call GPS, which is Global Peak Performance Systems. It's a week, every week that goes on, and we have facilitators from all brands, from across the line, different types of people, right from salon owners all the way up to multifaceted educators. And it's weekly programs just on how to teach digitally, how to teach just from the concept of facilitating. And if you do that, my friend, you're just going to start. And the biggest thing here is, and I want you to listen close to this, Tiffany, the biggest key thing is value. Value, value, value. So, and there's a thing that happens, and it's I got this from our good friend Jason, is that if you want to ask them to do something, another ask you to hire you back, ask you to join another event, you've got to give. You give, and then you give, and you give value, and then ask them to join something. So they'll say, well, if I've got that much just for free on this short little tidbit, I'd gladly join another class. Yeah. Or you get to the point where you want to charge for them, you can charge for them. Because right now, the difference is, what I love about what you do, Matt, is you give away free education. I applaud you. You're one of the best, I think, in our business for giving away free education, and I applaud you for that. And my heart goes out to the educators that are out there right now who earned a lot of their extra money by going out on weekends and teaching and giving up their heart and their soul and their sweat and their tears. That's dried up. Yeah. It's not there anymore. Yeah. So here's the good news for you, Tiffany. Some of those people are going to drop away because they're going to choose to play the game that they always played before. And it's going to open up a whole new field for young artists that are coming out, and they've just got the willingness to teach. They get their training on how to teach, and so that they're giving good information, and they're getting their information out there, and they're seen as the go-to person. And that's what companies are going to start looking for. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was going to say, like, online, no one can tell you, like it used to be, you have to, you go assist. Like, so first off, I want to say that working for a company for 10 years, educating on the road, 80 classes a year, in my car, all of that taught me how to be good on the internet, and taught me exactly like the bringing value part. It was when I made my first YouTube video, it was based on something I knew somebody had a question about in a class. Like for me, you would show up at a class every weekend. You knew exactly what questions they were going to ask, everything that they were going to, what would make them happy, what would make them cringe. Like you knew all of it. And then when you go on the internet, it's the same thing. But for Tiffany now, like you don't have to go to a brand and do all that, even though it's so beneficial. But you're gonna have to go on the internet, and you're just gonna have to learn that way. Like you'll just start educating, teach what you know, bring value that way. Don't be fake, and just keep learning. That's the biggest thing. Like for me, being able to watch you cut hair during that thing helped me learn something new that like I can transform into my own stuff. Or watching Sam, or all these people that are out there, just learn it
and then, transform that into who you are and what you want to teach. There
Yeah.
was somebody else was asking what social media platforms they would recommend. They be on all of them? Should they be on some? Obviously I have an opinion, but what do you think?
Well, you know what? I'm going to be very candid with you.
Yeah.
Is that um, as you know, when you came to my house, I I was talking to Jason, and he said, "Well, you're looking at followers and whatnot." And to me, I'd always been the in real life guy,
Yeah.
and it's really forced me to change and grow. And people have given me all sorts of advice on, if you want this kind of demographic, then you go to Facebook. If you're on a younger crowd, then you're going to go to TikTok, because what the people that were on Instagram are now on TikTok.
Yeah.
The people that used to be on Facebook are now on Instagram, and each one of those demographics, the ages seem to be increasing as they move up. And I'm going to be very candid with you right now, that people that are on it, as you are, and people that are influencers, people that are really building up their following, they spend at least 2, 3, 4 hours a day doing that. I don't have that time.
Yeah. Right.
I pay people to do it for me.
Okay.
Yeah. I have the person that handles all my stuff on there, and I just give them content. That's simply because of my, I run we've got about 4 businesses that we run, as well as doing all the training that we're doing all day long. I don't have the extra 2 hours, so I have to pay people to do it.
Yeah.
So mine isn't about the what, mine is about the who.
Yeah. Right.
I have to get who on board now, not what I'm doing. So, I'd love to hear what your suggestions are for age demographics and who you would go to, etc.
Yeah, for sure. So just like to quickly talk about this, the biggest thing with social media for me is that I like to be on everything, and I create content in a way of it has a purpose for everything. So like this show, we've been on here for 1 hour and 6 minutes. This is a long form piece of content, and I do it every single day, Monday through Friday, at 12 o'clock every day, right? So I do this show, then I take that piece of content, and either I or I have another guy who will cut it up, chop it up into a bunch of pieces that I can then use in different ways. I've started making my own TikTok content, and I'm not doing it. I'm not funny. I'm not a dancer. Like, I'm not any of that. I'm an educator. But I've started creating TikTok content just about a week ago. I got serious about it a week ago. So I'm trying to post multiple times a day, 15-second clips, just like I did when I started Instagram. Instagram was 15-second videos. I would cut an entire haircut into 15 seconds just to create something interesting. I find with TikTok, for me, the most interesting is like if I do like, let's say, a color meld technique, and I just show painting one section, and then I show the end result, and I put a fun song to it, it's going to get 700 views, and I got 200 followers. On Instagram, if you have 200 followers on Instagram and you post a video, you're going to get 1 view. So like that's the power of TikTok right now. So I feel like if somebody's trying to grow from an education standpoint and you want to reach a younger audience, then TikTok is definitely the way to go on that. The other thing is, I think for me, I wanted to grow as an artist or an educator. So I try to break it up into 2 things. That is wanting to be famous in my mind. So it's kind of a fame thing. It's an educator thing. It's a reach a certain audience, like that kind of thing. It's a worldwide thing, right? So that's what I want. I want a global audience of hair educators. Now, most people, what they want is they want to be popular in their town, and they want butts in the chair, right? So they want clients, and so posting to create a global audience doesn't make any sense for them. So they need to play a more local game, which is Facebook to me and Instagram, and you can target your audience, and you can hashtag locally. So like all those things are what I kind of like. YouTube to me is global. TikTok is pretty much global at this point. And then Facebook and Instagram is your like core small business. Run it like you can run it that way now. You can create groups that are based on your town. You can share very specific. So that's kind of my biggest thing is I think you should be on all, but you got to have a purpose for all of it, right? So like there's no reason to be on TikTok getting a worldwide audience if you're trying to build a book. Spend your time going on your phone, like Chris said at the beginning, record yourself doing a blow dry style, give tons of tips and value in that, and then share that on Facebook to all your local Facebook groups. So like we have a Facebook group for our town. You could share that in there, and people that aren't even your client are going to watch you teaching them something, bringing them something, and then they're going to want to come to you because they're like, my hairdresser doesn't do that stuff, you know? So that's the kind of stuff that I think about. But every platform is important for sure. And the good thing is no one will watch you right away. So like you have time to screw up. Like my content 6 years ago, I was just talking to my wife, Christina, you know, and I'm trying to chop up like old clips of different things I did. I was like, man, I don't like the way you talk, the way that like, you educate, the things that you say, you're like, I don't even know if I believe that anymore. Like all of that stuff. And like, it lives on the internet forever. But the good thing is it's so far piled down there. You just get better and better and your audience will grow as you get better and better at it.
Right.
So,
It's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's because you get known, people start to pass it on. But just remember, here's the biggest thing that I've learned is when you're teaching on right now, when you're in real life, you might have an audience of 1,000 or 10 or 2, depending on, you know, if what situation you're in.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I've learned is here, when you're teaching here, you have an audience of 1.
Yeah.
You have an audience of 1. So you're dealing with one person at a time. It might be 1,000 ones, or it might be 200 ones, but the way you talk to people in a big room of people is different. Like how many of you versus have you ever, because you're just talking to one person. So if you're talking to one person, you would never say how many of you.
Yep.
So you have to think about the difference. And I think it's easier for people like Tiffany that just want to get on board, and that's how they would normally talk to their clients. So that's the way they're going to talk to their audience. Yeah. People that have had a big life within teaching in a global basis, in big rooms, they're going to have to change the way they think and talk to audiences of 1.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I talk about that in my social media classes. I'm like, we're not playing to a crowd of thousands. Like, you're not up there like, hello, Seattle. You know, it's like, but everybody posts on social media. They're like, hey, everyone, what's up? Like, you know, but it's one person. It's you know, Susan just sitting there going through her feed. So you need to talk to Susan. You need to talk to the one person. And write out your posts like that. And it creates more of a connection. Like even, so I use a texting community now. It's called Community. It's a service, and these guys text and it signs them up. And so I can send out a text and be like, hey, I'm going live. And, you know, in my mind, I always stop myself because I want to say, hey guys, or hey everyone, or whatever. But I know that text that they're getting is from me, and it's to one person, and it's going to an individual's phone. So, you know, I flip that thought process to I'm talking to the one person on the other end. So, you know, it just creates more engagement and value and makes it feel more personal for sure.
Right. And that personality, that's the authenticity that's there.
Yeah.
I mean, if people don't feel that you're authentic and being you, they're going to zone out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So is there anything else that you want to share? What else do you have going on? Where can everybody follow you? All of that stuff.
Yeah, you know, if people just want to follow the big things for us right now is at Coach Chris Baran. That's Coach as it's spelled, COACH, and then Chris, CH, as opposed to the KR. And then Baran is BARAN. So if you just want to follow me online on there, just Coach at Coach Chris Baran. You can follow on there, anything that you have on there. If you do need anything, any way, shape, or form, that's the best way to get a hold of me, just on there. And listen, the big things we got going on is for those people like Tiffany that want to know more about that, facilitating like a boss. It's on every Monday. That is at if you're on the East Coast. If you're on the East Coast, it's 11 a.m. We do the similar thing that for cutting and finishing and et cetera with special guests, just like you've had on here. And that's on Friday mornings. And then I'm every Tuesday morning I'm hosting, and I'm the moderator for a program that we're doing with Redken, which is called the Exchange Lives. And you just have to get a hold of the Redken on those, and you will be able to find the chats that are going on there. And they'll also be on my feeds as well.
Very cool. Yeah, if you go to Coach Chris Baran's Instagram, you can click the link in his bio, and it takes you to all the stuff, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. So, all right, Chris. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us today.
Matt, it's been a pleasure.
Can't wait to have you back for sure.
Thank you. We'll organize something. Anything you need, buddy, I'm there for you.
All right. Thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Cheers, bud.
See ya.
Ciao.
All right, guys. Awesome. That was so cool. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Let me know in the chat. What did you think? I got Tiffany here. Oh, yeah. Thinking about I think we got that one, right? Akash, I see your question, pal. So here's my thought process. It's a color question. So I'm going to take that question. I'm actually going to take a photo of that question right now so I don't forget it. And then I'm going to do some videos on best sectioning for color services and all of that. Okay, so I'll definitely get to that for you. I want to keep these classes very, based on the subject. So today, super fun, guys. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Oh, well, it's not your weekend. Some of you guys, it's Monday. Yeah, thank you guys so much. Let's see. Awesome. Love seeing it. You're welcome. You're welcome. Brian Hare, I see you on this class. I'm so happy that you watched it. I know you watched the whole thing, so thank you so much. Glad to see it. Sherry, Tiffany, glad you liked it. Very cool. Yeah, it was awesome. I feel like, I was at Chris's house, but I didn't feel like, we had more conversation. I feel like it was more in depth with like all of that. Today it felt really good. The haircut was cool. The techniques were good. And then the information after. So I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I know it was a surprise. I wasn't sure if I was going to be live today, but Chris, dedicated his time to us today and sent us that awesome video. So psyched about it. I'll be back tomorrow. 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. We'll be doing the show again, so can't wait to see you guys. What do you want to see on the next show? Let me know in the comments below. Also, big deal. Need to go download the app, FSE Now. I know I didn't shout it out too much today, but go check out the app. Here is the little commercial. Join our community of free salon education on the app. Share your work, all that stuff. Here's the video, and then I'll say goodbye in a second. Very cool. So hope you guys have downloaded the app. Also, make sure that you send me a text message because all of you guys got a little surprise today saying, hey, I'm live, going live. 215-608-2612. 215-608-2612. Just send me a text, say hi, and it'll start the process. You can add me to your contacts, gives you all my contact info and all that stuff, and we can text each other after that. Again, thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Can't wait to hang with you tomorrow. Let me know what you want to see. Comment, and I will put together something for you guys for tomorrow. Looking forward to it. And what do we say at the end of the show? When the show's all done, have a great day, guys. Enjoy your day.
It's gonna be a great day.
See ya.
Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. Let me show you the way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. I woke up this way. It's gonna be a great day. Chop it, clip it, spray it, flip it. Let me show you the way.
See you guys.